Hello, everyone. On behalf of the City of Deadwood, the Deadwood Chamber of Commerce, and the Days of 76 Committee, we would like to welcome each and every one of you to the award-winning 100th Annual Days of 76 celebration. The week-long Days of 76 celebration would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of many community members. The Days of 76 Committee works year-round to make this event successful. Those committee members are Ted Thompson, Pat Roberts, Jim Brown, Jimmy Matson, Dave Engelhart, Travis Rogers, Tara Mao, Shannon Percy, Suzanne Rogers, Diana Palmer, Joe Peterson, Greg Nelson, Rich Turbeville, Clint Nixon, Tara Thompson Olson, Dennis Smith, Cheyenne Nelson, and Jay Matson. And this year's committee chairman is Chris Roberts. Parade and Events Committee volunteers agree that without the heritage of Native American people, the history of Deadwood is not complete. Therefore, Parade and Events Committee has partnered with several Native American groups to create a heritage-rich experience. The Native American section of the parade has been increased to include almost 40 Native Americans dressed in full regalia and proud to represent their heritage. We simply cannot pull off a parade like today without recognizing the help and sponsorship from today's parade sponsors: Kerr Wharf, Deadwood Tobacco Company, and Vitalix. Thank you to those sponsors. The echoing of that ageless magic word, gold, first rang through Deadwood Gulch in 1876, and with it came all the excitement and bustling activity of the Old West Days of 76. To preserve for future generations the traditions of those hardy pioneers who played such a vivid part in the settlement of the area, Deadwood celebrates the colorful Days of 76 each year during the last week of July. This parade is formulated with the aid of numerous volunteers, including ranchers who supply hundreds of horses. The American flag flying high on its pole at Mount Moriah above Deadwood is one of the most beautiful pictures we have. The flag has flown continuously at the spot overlooking the city since the Pearl Harbor attack. It reminds us again of the greatness of our country, and we breathe a little prayer that it may always float free and beautiful above us. The Days of 76 had its inception in 1922 when a group of local businessmen sponsored a day of races, contests, music, dancing, and fireworks on July 4th. The following year, it was decided to make it an annual event, coinciding with the deaths of Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. In June of 1929, the Days of 76 Committee was incorporated. Since then, the committee and auxiliary personnel contribute hundreds of hours to ensure its success. For more than 100 years, there have been rumors of gold in the Black Hills of Dakota Territory. In 1874, General George A. Custer confirmed it. By 1876, a trickle of prospectors had turned into an avalanche that converged on Deadwood Gulch. A tent town sprang up overnight with more than the average share of fortune seekers, greenhorns, gamblers, dance hall girls, and gunslingers. They had names like Potato Creek Johnny, Preacher Smith, Charlie Utter, Kitty Leroy, and of course, the most famous Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. South Dakota Color Guard will now be leading our parade. parade today is Sergeant Kathra Pica, the Rapid City U.S. Army recruiters. We will be thanking our veterans throughout the day, but let's give a big round of applause to all who have and currently serve our country. Our next parade entry is the Northern Hills Community Band under the direction of Dr. Christopher Hahn. This group, along with its predecessor, the Deadwood Band, has been participating in the Days of 76 since the very beginning. The southern part of the former Dakota Territory, South Dakota became a state on November 2nd, 1889, simultaneously with North Dakota. 132 years later, it is still unknown as to whether South Dakota is 39th or 40th state admitted to the Union. The Days of 76 Committee and the City of Deadwood welcome you to our annual rodeo event of the year. Today, our honorary Grand Marshals for this year's Days of 76 Parade are A.A. Doc Coburn's grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and families. Doc Coburn was one of the original 5 fathers of the Days of 76. Here's to you, Doc Coburn, for envisioning Deadwood's future by celebrating its past and laying the foundation for future generations to do so for another 100 years. Driving his own team of horses is our friend Ryan Ripkema with his wife Teresa. We are proud this year to have join us Mike Cushman driving his Powder River Percherons. And I thought there were more members of the Coburn family, but it doesn't look like. Thanks for making the trip from Wyoming, Mike. John and Carol Buren are excited to present this 4-horse hitch of Belgian draft horses, and we are glad to have them here today. The hitch is made up of 2 teams. John is driving with 4 lines, 1 to each horse. The wagon is a replica of an early wagon used to haul freight. This wagon has a 5th wheel running gear that allows for very sharp turns and backing into tight places. There is a fair amount of work operating a hitch like that. Thank you to the Burens for being here today. And right behind the Burens, we have our Days of 76 Committee. So please give a round of applause to our Days of 76 Rodeo Committee for all of the hours and work they put in to make this a successful weekend of cowboys and cowgirls and rodeos and parades. The Days of 76 Rodeo has been recognized as the Large Rodeo of the Year, Medium Rodeo of the Year, Small Rodeo of the Year, and has been nominated to the Rodeo Hall of Fame. Birch Rodeos has also been a part of our Days of 76. They are the PRCA stock contractors for the last 17 years, and this year is no exception. Matt and Chad Birch bring us the best stock in professional rodeo. The Birch Rodeo banner is proudly being displayed on the chuck wagon owned and restored by Doug Mickelson of Rosette, Wyoming. The longtime Days of 76 teamster and our friend Jess Gray of Gillette is driving his team of halflingers. No rodeo is complete without royalty. These fine young ambassadors will travel the rodeo circuit, making appearances all across the United States and Canada. When visiting with one of these fine ladies, they can share their understanding of stock contractors, stock used in the rodeo, and who our leading cowboys and cowgirls are in rodeo competitions. Rodeo royalty are always welcome to Deadwood and the Days of 76. And rounding the corner now, we have more royalty coming. Thank you, Sean Meyer, for driving a few of these ambassadors in the parade. Teamster Sally Miller's family is driving Hunter Whitby, Miss South Dakota. Hunter graduated from Augustana University, and she is attending Des Moines University and will be in osteopathic medicine after completing her year as Miss South Dakota. Riding the chuck wagon, representing Deadwood's Historic Preservation Commission, is Historic Preservation Officer Kevin Kuchenbecker. And our friend, the iconic Joe Thorne of Pierre, South Dakota, is pulling the Historic Preservation chuck wagon today.
Yeah, the iconic.
Tough enough to wear pink is going to have a tough day today. They're going to be walking this parade. Let's give them a round of applause. Tough Enough to Wear Pink provides a nationally recognized campaign and framework for rodeos and Western events to help them promote breast cancer awareness and fundraising to benefit their local communities. It looks like this is my friend Mike Roman. He's got some dignitaries on there. Deadwood Mayor David Ruth and his queen, Carrie, are joining us today for the parade. Former Teamster of the Year Mike Roman of Fort Pierre is driving those dignitaries. And that's Mike's own wagon with the Stars and Stripes. The Society of Black Hills Pioneer Float. Look carefully at this float. According to an article written in The Nugget, a student newspaper at Lead High School in 1911, the Society of Black Hills Pioneers was designed to be a moral, benevolent, and literary association. Objectives of the society included creating a fund for charitable purposes and to collect and preserve information connected with the early settlement and subsequent history of the country. The Native Americans have been a part of the Days of 76 celebration since the beginning of time. While Deadwood is known as a Wild West town with rodeo, gold mining, and saloons, it stands along with other sites in the Black Hills as a longtime center of the Lakota Nation. Besides the Lakota, up to 30 tribes and many famous tribal leaders are known to have lived for many generations in the Black Hills. The history of the Deadwood area and other towns started with American Indian camps, villages, hunting, and survival. Native Americans recorded history through drawings on hides called winter counts and practiced oral history handed down for generations. We want to thank Teamster John Hill for driving the wagon today. Thank you, John. there are my friends joining us on the hay wagon. My friend, Chief David Baldeagle's family. Chief Baldeagle was a beloved member of our parade for many years. He passed away in 2016 at the age of 97. He traveled the world representing the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe and has been a goodwill ambassador to many over the years. Chief Baldeagle's spirit is being represented by his family members Mikiela, Wandley, Zola, and Jacob. Thank you, Teamster Don Hutchinson, for driving the wagon. The Verendry brothers. The Verendry brothers were the first white men to have pierced the long hidden mountain range. That was followed by the Louisiana Purchase. It was a land deal made between the United States and France in 1803. 1,828,000 square miles were purchased from France for just over $11 million. Teamster Jeff Schneiderman and his team are taking good care of this entry. Under the direction of Mr. Terry Williamson, the 7th Cavalry Band and its musicians represent several communities throughout the Black Hills, and we are always so glad to see our young and old adding to the 7th Cavalry Band. Annie Talent, she walked every step of the way with the Gordon party. When her shoes wore out, she wrapped her feet in gunny sacks. Annie Talent, the first white woman in the Black Hills, came with her son and settled in the present-day Rochford. Our friend Nadine Radke is portraying Annie and driving her team today. We're followed by the Frank Bryant Party. The first gold found in the hills was discovered by the Frank Bryant Party. Larry Vandervoor's team is pulling the covered wagon. Representing the gold hysteria that descended upon Deadwood Gulch in 1876 is our prospector, portrayed by Dustin Nelson. Dustin has stepped into this role following both his father, Greg, and great-grandfather, Art Nelson. One of the most well-known prospectors in the area was Potato Creek Johnny. A picturesque prospector of the Black Hills, Johnny Parrott took his name from the stream in which he mined, which was Potato Creek. Located at 1200 Pioneer Way, just past Upper Main Street, is the Broken Boot Gold Mine. The mine started in 1878 and was purchased by Olaf Syme in 1889. The Broken Boot is owned by the Deadwood Chamber, and you can go on many tours. Saloon number 10, Wild Bill's contribution to Deadwood's fame came in being killed during a fateful game of poker. The Prince of Pistoliers. Wild Bill arrived in Deadwood early in July of 1876. While playing poker with 3 friends, a rascal by the name of Crooked-Nosed Jack McCall snuck up behind him and fatally shot Bill in the back of the head. When shot, Hickok was clutching black aces and eights, today known as Dead Man's Hand. Thank you to the Deadwood Alive reenactors who portray this magic turn of events. Here we come with the Deadwood Stage. Abbott and Downing of Concord, New Hampshire built the Deadwood Cheyenne Stage in 1847. This stage was built for the rough terrain between Deadwood Territory and Cheyenne, Wyoming. The Deadwood Stage operated from 1876 to 1877. Driving the Deadwood Stage is Mike Bashan from Cody, Wyoming. Now remember that name. We have more Bashan family members coming up in the parade. And here's my good friend, Mark Bashan. Mark is a long time Teamster in our parade, and we're glad to have him back. Thank you, Mark Bashan, for joining us today on your hay wagon for the 100th celebration of the Days of 76. The last two Teamsters and the next Teamster and two more Teamsters down the line are driven by members of the Beauchamp family. This family of Teamsters has been a part of the Days of 76 parade every single year since its inception, and we are always glad to welcome them back. That kind of loyalty and dedication certainly deserve a round of applause. Thank you to the Beauchamp family. And here she is, my friend Julie Beauchamp and her husband Jim from Bison, South Dakota. They're pulling the small stage today for the parade. I want you to take note of this next, the next stagecoach that's rounding the corner. A man named Levon Shear from Wall, South Dakota built this stagecoach to spec in the 1990s. Shortly after he built it, it was sold to a guy in Minnesota. But Levon's grandson, Garrett Shear, bought the wagon back and brought it all the way back home to Wall. Teamster Grant Shear is driving the Wall stagecoach today. We are proud to have them with us. Here's my friend Kathy Call from Rapid City. She's portraying Poker Alice. Alice Tubbs was born in England. She arrived in Deadwood in 1876. Poker Alice was a gambler. She was a dealer in gambling houses, and she later owned one in Sturgis. She's got that expressionless face that gave her the name Poker Alice. She's buried in Sturgis. So Seth Bullock arrived in Deadwood, and he became a logical choice to become the town's very first sheriff. Martha Bullock was an accomplished musician and president of the Round Table Club. Seth and Martha are being driven, I think that was my friend Dick Rogers. Oh, the dray wagon is basically just a very sturdy wagon that's used to haul goods and usually is without sides. Teamster Rob Goodman, along with his entire family from Kyle, South Dakota, are representing fur trappers. And just a note that Rob was our 2019 Days of 76 Teamster of the Year. Was one of the first Chinese to come to Deadwood in 1876. Old-timers claim she was the most beautiful woman in Deadwood, earning the name Yellow Doll or China Doll. At the peak of Deadwood's Chinatown, its population numbered some 400 Chinese men and women. Our friends Teamsters Aaron and Mary Humphreys from Minnesota are driving the Chinese section today. The invention of the American chuck wagon is credited to cattleman Charles Goodnight. A true product of necessity breeds creativity. Goodnight bolted a wooden box to the back of an Army Studebaker wagon and added compartments to store utensils, bedding, food, and more. The rest, they say, is history. Teamster Brady Reinhardt is driving his chuck wagon for us today. And here we come with the first ranchers. Civilization continues to advance in Deadwood Gulch through the settlement of the Black Hills. Portraying the first ranchers on the chuck wagon is Tim Kersavi and family out of Hermosa. Riley Kammerer is driving the second chuck wagon, representing more first ranchers of the Black Hills. Hi, Riley.
How are you guys?
Good. Hi, Jimmy. And the Ward's wagon is Mark and Nicole Vandervorst with their team pulling the Ward's wagon. A Ward's wagon is similar to a covered wagon. The Concord Stage is driven by Kenny Bashan and his family, his beautiful team of 4-Up Paints. Following that Concord Stage with Kenny Bashan is Dennis Bashan in his handmade jail wagon. And it's being driven by Dennis himself. I'm not sure, in that wagon it looks like you have some what could be prisoners, but to me they look like really bad referees from a basketball game. I think they might have messed up at that basketball game and then they ended up in the territorial prison. I've been to some of those games. A big thank you to the Bashan family, who has the largest running tradition of participation in the day's parade. A spring wagon has a square box in between 2 and 4 movable seats.
It says Dick Rogers. Who are you?
It was a general purpose wagon used for the transportation of either goods or passengers. And all the way from Wabash, South Dakota comes my friend Teamster Gary Zuke. He's driving our schoolmaster and school marm. The first Ward School in Deadwood was originally located in this area near the present-day rodeo grounds. The Black Hills Pioneer is also on that wagon. The newsies are often young children. The Black Hills Pioneer was established in 1876, the oldest business in West River, South Dakota, and the only locally owned and operated newspaper in the territory. The sunbonnets worn by young girls, I think we lost the girls with their sunbonnets. But Gary Jepson, thanks for pulling that wagon. That's awful nice. The school teacher might have them in detention or something. Thanks for coming, Gary Jepson. And I want you to take a look at number 52 right here. Driving to school is young teamster Morgan Roman. We saw her dad go by earlier, who's just 7 years old, being accompanied by mom, not anymore.
Hey. Hey, girl.
A long-established Army post, Fort Laramie was considered the last vestige of civilization from Cheyenne before heading into the wilderness of Custer City in the Black Hills. The teamster driving the family-owned Fort Laramie is Chuck Brooks, with his medicine hat ponies Jean and Jan. The rural mail delivery wagon, similar to the one seen here today, could be found around the turn of the century. Our driver, Dave Lindblom from Hermosa, South Dakota. I am always glad to see our post office wagon in the parade. One of my favorites. Keith Siegfried is accompanied by today's bride and groom and a lovely little white vis-a-vis. Longtime teamster and friend of the days of 76, Johnny Holloway of Eagle Butte, is pulling members of the wedding party. It looks like they're just the guy part of the wedding party. Johnny, we'll see you tomorrow with the Naja Shrine Group. We're always glad to see Johnny. Here are my friends, Mel and Rose Miller. Also part of the wedding party Mel and Rose are of Whitewood, who've been driving miniature horses for the last 12 years. Pound for pound, do you know that a miniature horse can pull as much as a standard size horse? Here comes Dr. Sawbones. In 1894, Dr. L. Howe began treating patients for an hour a day, prescribing the poor free of charge in the Northern Hills. Teamster Wade Klein. Look at this, is a new family. This little family of Wade Klein and his family are new to us. And I am so happy to see young families joining us for the days. He is driving our team of first doctors. Here comes Dr. Sawbones. Rob Leonard, the famous Dr. Rob Leonard, along with his nurse, is representing Dr. Saw Those Bones. The Doc's mistakes were followed by longtime Teamsters. Janice and Reed Borden, past Teamsters of the Year, raised registered quarter horse in Newell, South Dakota. They pulled the white hearse since 2002 with their quarter horses, Ralph and Willie. There's my friend Ron Cooper, another long-time Teamster with the Days of 76. Pulling another mistake from Dr. Sawbones, driving that black hearse. Thanks for being here, Ron, and coming all the way. Our second black hearse, another iconic Teamster, driven by Gerald Kessler of Fort Pierre. Always glad to see Gerald back, even though it may be bad news with what's going on in that hearse. One of my favorites, the hook and ladder being pulled by dedicated Teamster Rick Clevin from right here in Piedmont, South Dakota. The industry of today is now beginning with Deadwood's hook and ladder wagon. Deadwood holds the record of having the first fire department organization of its kind in the Black Hills. The Pioneer Hook and Ladder Company was formed in June of 1877. Somehow they picked up the dance hall girls. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe there was a fire in the dance hall, and then they ended up on the hook and ladder. Sure. Now, back in the day, the hand cart was how people transported extra hoses to fires in the area. People would crowd the streets to watch heated competitions to see who is the fastest hose cart pullers in the Black Hills. Watch what they're going to do here. These are our friends from Box Elder Job Corps. We are grateful for you. These young people are going to walk and, well, roll around the parade. As our boiler wagon rounds the corner, I want you to take a look at who is holding the reins on this boiler wagon. This is 13,000 pounds of weight, and we have none other than Jalen Klauser from Baker, Montana. She is one awesome Teamster, and next to her is our Teamster of the Year, Dave Hayden. With his team of Percherons, he is pulling this 13,000-pound dray wagon. And here comes Mike Olson from White, South Dakota. This is his favorite wagon to pull because when he's done, he can drink all the beer that's in that wagon. Thanks for coming all this way. When Mike's not busy farming or rebuilding horse buggies and wagons, he teaches a trimming and shoeing course at South Dakota State University. There's Ordell Simonson. Am I right? Yes, look at, there's Ordell driving his team and hitch wagon. What a beautiful wagon that is. Denny Post from Brookings is pulling the ore wagon today. Since gold was the predominant reason Deadwood exists today, the ore wagons were a vital part of transporting the valuable minerals throughout the Black Hills. Thanks for coming from Brookings, Denny. And our lumber wagon. Scott Porterfield and his wife Sandy with their team pulling the wagon. A large number of miners and settlers that rushed into the hills during the late 1800s created a need for housing, stores, saloons, mine timbers, railroad ties, and fuel. The lumber wagon was a very important part of the settlement of the Black Hills. Bruce Bowes is pulling our poet laureate, South Dakota's first, Badger Clark. Clark graduated from right here at Deadwood High School in 1902, and his famous piece of prose was A Cowboy's Prayer. You know, after that gold ran out, the Black Hills began to focus on tourism and recreation, which is represented today by vintage cars and various vehicles. Special thanks to everyone who took the time to participate with today's vehicles.
Not the Lions. Not the Lions.
The Lions stand for peace and understanding and unite through kindness to serve those in need. There are over 48,000 Lion clubs around the world. Each is filled with people like you who've decided to take action and serve others. A special thanks to everyone who took time to participate with their vintage cars in today's parade. Vintage cars of all kinds are welcome in Deadwood. A big thank you goes to Jim Cummings, Annie Tice Posley, Wayne Ryan, Steve Ryan, and the 2021 Cool Deadwood Nights winner, Derek Eisenbees. Just like the Cowboys of yesteryear, the Cowboys and Cowgirls of today are an integral part of the Days of 76 celebration. Without them, this celebration would not take place. Thank you to Deadwood's VFW Post 5969. Let's give a warm round of applause for all of those who have served our country. And over the last 110 years, the number of timber in the Black Hills National Forest has grown from 1 billion board feet to over 6 billion board feet. This float is represented by Nyman Enterprises. With fire season in full swing, we especially want to thank all our firefighters and emergency personnel that are always on the scene protecting our beautiful Black Hills. All my wildland fire friends are there. Here comes our wildland fire and our local United States Forest Service office, which is based out of Spearfish. This year is Smokey's 79th birthday. Here comes my absolute favorite, Smokey Bear. Welcome to the Days of 76, Smokey, and happy birthday. Thank you for attending this year's Days of 76 parade. Have a great time in Deadwood. We hope to see you all next year.